evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Talk of the Devils, brought to you by talkofthedevils.co.uk, your number one Manchester United podcast. I hope you're all well. I just wanted to say a couple of words beforehand. Obviously, a very, very difficult day for a lot of us, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about obviously the death today. But what a wonderful woman she is, what she's done for the country, and obviously a very, very sad time. Weren't sure if the football was going to go ahead. Weren't sure if we were going to do this show. But here we are. And yeah, lots to talk about. I hope you're all well, guys. Get your comments in. Get liking. Get subscribing. And yeah, we'll go through it. How you doing, guys? You all good? Marcus, how you doing, mate? How you feeling after that?
Yeah, it was a very meh performance. I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, all things considered, I'm all right. And to be honest with you, I think we got a lot of clarity today. I suppose if there's one positive thing, it's that we saw some of the players who've been on the bench for a while try to take their opportunity, and some of them did okay, I thought, but the vast majority were not so great. And as a collective, we weren't so great. So, yeah, there's loads to talk about. Controversial penalty decision, of course. I'm sure we'll get to that later in the show. But on the balance of it, quite a disappointing performance, especially against a Real Sociedad team that got piped by Barcelona. Yes, they won a couple of other games, but they didn't score that many goals. I think both the games they won in the La Liga was 1-0. So this is a team that's struggling to score goals. This is a team that didn't create very many chances against us. And thanks to a controversial decision, they were able to win the game. But yeah, I think what makes it more disheartening is the fact that they didn't play that well themselves. We kind of let ourselves down in this game, I feel. But yeah, nothing else to say really.
Yeah, absolutely. Summed it up perfectly. A very, very poor performance indeed. And as you said, a lot of players, obviously, that haven't seen many minutes this season come on and didn't take their chances. It's like they didn't have a lot of minutes in the body, and you could clearly see that. Ellis, good to have you on, buddy. I hope you're very well. Yeah, give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, a bit of a difficult day for everyone across the world, and obviously in the Commonwealth and everything with the passing of the Queen, which is obviously quite a difficult subject. But I'm just confused, to be honest. I don't really know what I've just watched. I think the penalty decision, I think we'll come on to later, as Marcus said, was shocking. But that's a different conversation. The performance in itself was bizarre. There was certain players that just weren't up to par. They weren't in the pace of the game. And that just really cost us. Like, it all comes down to you win your individual battles, and some players simply didn't do that, and it cost us massively.
Yeah, it costs us massively indeed. You're absolutely right. Reece, great to have you back on, buddy. It's been a couple of weeks. I hope you're well. What were your thoughts on that performance?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks, cheers for having me. To be honest, I don't think there's anything else really to add that's already been said. I thought we were just very flat. I think maybe the atmosphere, maybe the circumstances during the day might have an effect to it, but then again, though, professionalism is also another important thing. Like, a circumstance can affect you during the day, but when it comes to crunch time, like, your professionalism really will show. And on like full scale of it, like across the field, like, yes, it was never a penalty, but you look at the difference between the two teams. I thought Real Sociedad were actually far more professional. I think they were more up for the occasion. They also had a very good game at the weekend as well, drawing to Atletico Madrid as well. Like, very strong performance. Like, I think ideally we should have won that game, but you don't win games based on paper. You've got to win it by actually doing it in the hard yards and actually putting the ball in the back of the net, which we did. But obviously the goal was disallowed correctly. But other than that, like, I think the term "not our day" or etc. isn't the best way to sum up it. It was just simple as, like, we were flat. We weren't interested. We weren't up for it. We weren't quick enough to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth, seven balls. We weren't interested. So I say that. It was really poor. It was probably our worst performance since maybe Brentford.
Yeah, in agreement with you. I mean, we've Sociedad are probably our weakest opponents. We've got Sheriff, who did beat Real Madrid.
I think Sociedad are the team that are going to finish second. I think Sheriff and Monya are the two weaker sides, but Sheriff did have that freak result last year. I think it is purely going to be between us and Sociedad to go through.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you need the nice points amount of 12 Whether we're going to get to that, we'll have to wait and see. It's obviously, a few more games left to be played. 5, so it's certainly possible, obviously. Jamie in the comments there, the Marc Biggs post-match review curse returns. It's 1 in 5. So not yet. Maybe next week, then possible. Although I think some of the games might be cancelled this weekend, so we might not have a post-match.
It got announced after the game. I don't know if you've seen it, but I was listening on BT Sport, and the coverage from the presenter said the Football League games have been postponed tomorrow, but we're waiting to hear from the government on the weekend itself. So at the minute, Saturday, Sundays, at the moment, still going ahead, but we'll find out tomorrow. But all Football League games definitely are postponed.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that information, buddy. Wayne in the comments, evening guys. Atmosphere very flat tonight and was undoubtedly influenced by the events today. All credit to Real Sociedad, who really deserved the win tonight. And we were saying this a moment ago. They looked like they turned up and wanted to play, and we struggled. I mean, it was a difficult decision and one that we were harshly done by, unfortunately, but it is what it is. These things happen and we have to pick ourselves up and go again. I just wanted to talk about Casemiro, actually. I know that obviously he hasn't had too many minutes so far. And for me in particular, he just looked a bit ropey tonight. He made one very good interception, but other than that, misplaced a lot of passes. Do you just think that's down to rustiness, Marcus, and he just needs a bit more game time?
Yeah, I think with Casemiro, it's just a case of acclimatizing himself to the team. I didn't think he was bad, to be fair. I saw a lot of people going in on Casemiro, so I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I was watching a completely different game because, yeah, he was a bit flat. Yeah, you can tell that there's a bit of an issue there. I don't know if it's fitness or just match sharpness or a combination of those two things. I don't know if it's maybe playing under a new manager because obviously Zinedine Zidane and Erik ten Hag are two completely different types of managers, but yeah, I thought he was all right. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was all right. He was conducting the midfield. He was barking out orders, especially in the first half. I think what influenced him was more the team around him and the fact that just the overall performance today was flat. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to know what Reece thinks. I'd like to know what Ellis thinks because I genuinely thought Casemiro was all right, personally.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't think Casemiro actually put a foot wrong. Like, I think you're right, Marcus. Like, he wasn't the best player in the field. I think for us purely, I think again that was Eriksen until he came off. I thought Eriksen was probably our best player again. But
yeah,
in terms of Casemiro, he's played a full 90, which he hasn't been able to do yet. He wasn't the best of games. Like, I'll give him that. But in terms of like overall play, I thought it was just right in the middle. Like, it's probably the best way to say, he was just right in the middle. Like, he was neither bad nor he was great. He was just, what's amazing? He was just right down the middle, and that's what you want. Like, but I think maybe he could have done a few things better. I think maybe he could have been a bit more advanced, maybe a bit more pressing with the ball. But other than that, like, Fred throughout the game, like, he wasn't particularly great. Like, his movement was kind of cool and all that in the gang, but he wasn't sharp. Fernandes, when he came on, he was in the right, that wasn't enough.
Sorry to cut you off, but I thought Fred was terrible tonight. I thought there were moments. Yeah, I thought there were moments in the final third in that first half where he really cost us. There was some interplay between him on Elanga and then Elanga on like a couple occasions, maybe 3 occasions actually. And his touch was just awful. Yeah, but go on.
It was like he was learning a different trade again, really. I mean, he's played so far back before. I think the number 10 tonight and that particular occasion didn't really suit him. And
I think that position caught him by surprise. I think I caught him by surprise. I think he was expecting to play in the pivot beside Casemiro. And I think he was expecting Eriksen to play ahead of him. But it looks like Eriksen, regardless of Fernandes plays or not, Eriksen is going to be in that false 6 role. It looks like that's clear as day. But I also think that the way the team was shaped, like, obviously the manager's made some changes, which understandable, but he still went strong. I don't know about you guys, but I think he made the wrong call with the back 4. I think he should have stayed with us. I think maybe apart from Dubravka, which I'd understand, giving him a chance to see how he does in the club, I would have kept the same back 4 because it's tried and tested. It looked different when we were playing. Like, we weren't as capable of going forward with Maguire and Lindelof, which is not. This is not me criticising them in that sense. It just seems with Varane and Martinez, we just look more like we actually want to drive forward rather than going out wide. We went more wide than we did tonight than we've had in previous games, which is another thing that tells me that maybe the Ten Hag doesn't trust Lindelof, Maguire going through the middle. I don't know. That's just That's just something I was just picking up, obviously.
Just-
But in terms of midfield,
Mention
like that was really flat. That really worried me. The midfield was flat.
I'm right to
Like-
just like on the
Yeah,
Casemiro
go in.
thing. I do disagree with both Marcus and Reece. I thought Casemiro was really poor tonight. Just for a caliber of his player, I know he's getting used to a new system, new manager. I thought he was really off it. I think him and Fred in the second
did.
half were shocking. There was no link. They were providing no link. The defensive play wasn't very good. As Mark said, he had one good interception. His passing was sloppy. He gave the ball away so many times. He cost us in the transition, and he made bad choices. There was a chance in like the 88th minute or something when there was a pass on, and he decides to try and play a loopy ball into Ronaldo when that was not the right decision. And then talking about sticking with the same back four, I think that's all. I think I also disagree with that. Squad rotation is really key. It's really going to, obviously, with the World Cup coming up, we know about Varane's injury record. Varane's very injury prone. He needs time out to rest. He's not going to be able to play 3 games in a week. So you need to be able to have good, healthy squad rotation. You look at the elite teams, maybe not Liverpool now, but maybe like after the World Cup and stuff, and they've got the bulk of the squad. But look at City. They have like 4 or 5 fit centre halves that all slot into that system when they know the system and come on and rotate. Because other players have. So look at Laporte. Laporte don't play that much for City because of his injury record. But then they have Stones, Diaz, Akanji, Ake. They're all sit in, and we need to rotate because one back four, if they get an injury, them defenders are going to come in. So they need to be able to get used to the system without obviously hindering the starting back four.
I get your point, and I get your point. I don't dispute that, Ellis, at all. I don't dispute that at all. Why I was saying we keep the same back four is because I think the one thing you saw tonight, the minute Martinez came on, we looked so much more quicker with the ball. Like from the back building up, we looked much quicker. I think as reliable as Maguire and Lindelof have been at times, they're also like very slow with the build up. I think maybe tonight you would have actually been better to stick with Varane and Martinez, and then maybe against Palace. But obviously, we don't know if that's going to happen this weekend. I would have maybe have done it. I would have maybe have done it in the league. But then again, I don't dispute your point. I think very valid point. I'm just thinking, because tonight was so key. You really want to get your European campaign off to a start. I would have just stuck with the same back four, but the midfield I would have made changes definitely.
Do you think you said about Lisandro Martinez coming on and making the game look quicker with his passing? Do you not think that was because we were chasing the game and he has to come on and do that? We're 1-0 down. He has to be able to get the ball into midfield. It's not really Maguire and Lindelof not being able to do it. It's we're 1-0 down. We need to get the ball forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we should have taken the game by the scruff of the neck, and then you bring on your players. You're absolutely right about squad rotation. You know, these players are all, multi-million pound a week, players and a high skill level, and fundamentally they should be able to win these games and see these games out, especially with how poor Sociedad were, and really, really difficult to see. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Do you know what I mean? You can chop and change all your 11 after the game, but ultimately it didn't win us the game. And I think that those players on the pitch, we were inundated with enough talent to win that game, and very, very disappointing indeed.
No, true.
Just moving on here, just a couple of comments. There's loads of you on Twitter. Come over to youtube.com/Talk of the Devils. We want to read your comments out, and we can't see them on there, so it's important. And of course, come over and give the video a like. It's massively important to us. Richard in the comments, we are going to talk about this as well. No way was that a penalty. The ball ricocheted from his body to his hand. Therefore, it's not a penalty. Rubbish refereeing that. I will change it to. Marcus, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, don't get me started on the refereeing, man. I'm not someone who usually talks about refereeing, but that guy tonight must have been paid, because there were a couple of dodgy decisions following that penalty as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the rules in football anymore. Like, unless they're changing the rules behind the scenes every week and we just don't know as fans, I want some explanations, because I don't get why the rules in football have to be so ambiguous and inconsistent and so subjective and so down to interpretation, because it clearly hits his leg before actually getting to his arm. He's got his hands in a natural position. Like, I just don't understand how that's a penalty. But at the end of the day, I mean, whether that's a penalty or not, it doesn't excuse our performance, So I don't want to sit here and rave about the refereeing decisions all game long. It is what it is at the end of the day. And on the point, the comment you just highlighted as well, I mean, the thing about certain players not starting it is crystal clear why certain players don't start. And look, it's only one game, but the nice thing is, the beauty of the situation is, we've seen these players under previous managers before, a lot of them anyways. So it's no surprise to a lot of us the performance they put in tonight. I think the only element that's surprising is the fact that it was Real Sociedad, and maybe most of us were arrogant. Maybe we were wrong to underestimate Real Sociedad, because clearly, much like most Spanish teams, mid-table or not, they do have a certain quality about them that we need to respect, and it's a lesson that we just never learn as United fans, I guess. But yeah, the refereeing was awful, man.
Just a question, and I'll move on to you, Ellis. Just a quick question about, we heard the commentators saying time and time again that it wouldn't have been a penalty in the Premier League. But do you think there should be sort of more of a general consensus of how the rules apply to every game?
There's no right or wrong answer in VAR. It's literally just down to interpretation. Whoever's literally got the job it's like a name out of a hat. Whoever's on the thing is going to be able to interpret of what they see the game. There's no black and white answer. There's no here's rules, here's what it is. There's nothing. It's just whatever the guy decides on the day. And I don't understand how you can look at that and review it and still decide that's a penalty. Like, I don't understand what the rules are anymore. There isn't any. It's lawless. It's completely ruining the game. And UEFA claim to be the pinnacle of club football. Everyone wants to win a European competition. Maybe not the Europa League, because let's be honest, it's not exactly the Champions League. But it's supposed to be the pinnacle of club football, but it's got the worst level of refereeing. There is nothing worse than a European matchday referee. They're awful, and the Premier League's awful as well. The standard of officiating in the professional game across all sorts is awful. It's embarrassing. Football is one of the most watched sports. It's loved by everyone, and they're ruining the game. It's awful. You can't. There's decisions every week. Look at the Premier League last week. How many was there? 4 howlers. Did you see the one West Ham and Chelsea? How? It's my stuff. We're just fans. We're football people, and even we can see that. We're not paid to do that. We're not professionals. We're not getting a wage off it, but even we can see it. So how can we see it? But they can't?
Reece,
it doesn't make any sense.
No, you're absolutely right. Reece, anything to add to that?
I've been criticising referees on podcasts for about 2 years, mate. If I do this, we'll be here all night. Like, no joke. Like, I'm sick of referees. I'm sick of incompetency. I'm sick of corruption. Like, people say like corruption in Italian football. Like, I think they need to stop blaming all Italian football and just blame UEFA and blame the stupid FAs. Like, I genuinely feel sorry for anyone in their job who is actually a good referee or a good official, because they will get labelled under this crap.
The same brush,
they will, because there's so many good officials, but you've got to work with so much dross. They just don't know what they're doing. It was like I'm all for VAR and bringing technology into the game. I think it's great, but the German league does it brilliantly. The Eredivisie does it brilliantly. Their officials, the VAR is in constant sync, and you can see it being done properly. You see it in Serie A. Like, yeah, you'll get the 1 or 2 odd decisions where it's wrong, but at least they're vocal about it and you're telling them this is what's going on. Our game, UEFA, it's tedious, it's mismanaged, and they don't know what they're doing. I think they need to go back and actually discuss who should be on it. I think personally they shouldn't be changing to like officials around. Like, if you've got certain who's better on screen rather than who's better on the field, whoever isn't good on the field, put them behind the screen and just let them deal with it. And I think there's also as well, whoever's run the game, I think it's heavily biased. But even so, like tonight, it was never a penalty. I feel sorry for Martinez because of the position as well. Like Marcus said, he's spot on. It was natural. You cannot, in any way, shape, or form, rotate your body physically unless you're a flaming idiot like this. Your arms are got to be around because it gives you balance. He's in midair. There's no flaming way that should have been given as a penalty. No
Can
way.
I also just say that another issue is also like the lack of transparency with VAR, because
Agreed.
like I'm not one of the people that blames VAR, because I think it's the people operating VAR. Like, I've been alive long enough to know that there's been corruption long before VAR, so I don't get
Same
the
as
whole
you, mate.
attacking VAR thing. But like, for me, the lack of transparency, whilst transparency wouldn't fix VAR, don't get me wrong, it would help us get a better understanding of why these things are happening. If we just heard the even if it was a transcript after the game and maybe not a live conversation, just some sort of explanation as to how the referees get to these positions or these decisions, it would give us clarity as football fans and maybe help us be better prepared for these decisions. I feel like one of the biggest gripes and frustrations with football at the moment is that the rules are so inconsistent from week to week, and it's all about interpretation, but we want to know what that interpretation is. I think that would really set us all free, because maybe, just maybe, hearing it from the referee's mouth would help us go, oh, okay, that actually makes a bit of sense. I don't agree with it, but that makes a bit of sense.
Give us a little bit of clarity, really. Listen, we're not here to slate the officiating at all tonight. You know, it is what it is, and these things happen. You win some, you lose some. Ultimately, we didn't play well enough, and we didn't take.
I don't know what else I was going to say, but I was going to say there, okay, just 2 seconds, and I'll let you jump in else. I was going to say the rules. Like I think Arsene Wenger said it on beIN Sports a few years ago. The rules or current rules should set in place for at least a minimum of 5 years. Actually, let it see how it goes, and if it doesn't work after that period, you change it and then you try to improve it. You cannot keep changing the rules every single flaming year. It has to stick because they have to get used to it. If you keep changing the rules, it makes referees' decisions harder, and it even makes the players it makes it difficult for the players as well. But obviously, like management as well, like to prepare. If you keep chopping and changing like the rules every season, half season, I think they had 4 or 5 penalty decisions like after the lockdown season, the first full season. So that says all. Like just the rules are not consistent as well. Like they have to maintain consistency for at least 3, 4, 5 years minimum, just to ensure better play for the game. The same with VAR, not just refereeing, but VAR itself.
Alice, you want to come in, buddy?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate like 2 things here. I just don't want people getting the wrong impression that we're all just moaning about the officiating. As Marc said, the reason why we lost the game because we weren't competitive enough. We weren't up for it and we lost. Fair enough. But as even Marc said about the commentators, I think it was Robbie Savage said that's not a penalty in the Premier League. Why is it different? Why is it different in the Premier League than it is to the Champions League? We're still playing the same game, just against a different team. It just doesn't make any sense. But
the reason why I say this is because you can't react in any other way. So naturally, if you're become accustomed to keeping your arms in and defending yourself in a particular way, you're going to do that every time. And anyone normal, as Reece already said, you can't react in any other position. But it's something you become accustomed to. It makes it very difficult when the rules are ever so slightly changed. Anyway, listen, I'm going to move on from this. I wanted to talk about a big highlight for me, actually, Garnacho. Obviously made an appearance tonight. Lots of talk about him. Seen him played live myself, and he's a very good and tidy little player. But just to read out some stats for you, as I always do, 100% passes completed, 100% tackles won, 10 touches, 1 shot, 1 dribble, 1 chance created. What were your thoughts on him, Marcus?
Yeah, no, excellent, refreshing. Just a breath of fresh air to see him come on and liven things up. And listen, I didn't think Elanga was bad tonight, since he's another young player. But Garnacho just brings something new to the team. And I think it's a shame that our first team at the moment is not very stable. I think the 11 that played in the previous game against Arsenal was fantastic, don't get me wrong. But I think we'll to see more stability in the first team. And once we know without a shadow of a doubt what our best team is, it will be interesting to see if we get to see people like Garnacho come into the team and actually get a chance consistently. I feel like players like Garnacho, players like Zidane Iqbal, players like Charlie Savage, and even Ghana, who got let go, by the way, are victims of a chaotic environment around them. It's almost like the manager can't bed them in because he's got more important things to do, like getting a result. So tonight, even though things didn't go our way, I'm proud of the performance Garnacho put in, and hopefully we see more of him in the future, man. It's going to be interesting to see how Ten Hag does it, because clearly you can't trust the second string team in these European games.
Yeah, you probably almost might as well put trust in your younger players, because they will play as well as they can. Obviously, they're not aware of danger, and they're going to come in and hit the ground running. Right, we're going to move on to. It's going to be a short show tonight, obviously with what's happened today. We're going to move on to the ratings, which is going to be the hardest bit of the show, probably, even after talking about that abysmal performance. But Ellis, going to come to you first. David De Gea, your rating and any other business from him.
I'd probably say a 7. He was okay. I think there was only one part where I'd be a bit like it's a bit weak, was the shot from Cuba where he just palmed out in the middle of the box. That could easily have fell to Sociedad player, and that's 2-0. So that's the only thing I've got. But I thought his distribution was okay. It's definitely improved. I think he's kind of like obviously knows that they're going to play out from the back. So I think he's kind of upped his game a little bit in that sort of field. So I'd probably go with a 7, maybe a 6. But yeah, we'll go 7.
Yeah, that's fair. Reece, Diogo Dalot?
didn't see a lot of Dallo, to be honest. I don't know if it was injury or just poor performance. But in terms of the right hand side, very flat. You know me, mate. I'm honest when it comes to ratings, so it'll be no surprise when I tell you I'm giving him a 3.
Okay, fair enough. You know what I have noticed about Diogo Dallo recently that I've been quite impressed with
He's
is
been so much better though.
much better. But his balls into the box have been excellent. He did a couple again tonight onto
I
an out of his
agree.
head. Unfortunately, a little bit offside, and obviously that went into that was a bit unfortunate. But a great delivery, and he did
Yeah.
again at the weekend. So real improvements there. Just needs to be more aware of his positional awareness.
Yeah.
I think that was still an issue tonight. Marcus, coming to you, Harry Maguire.
Oh yes, Captain Harry, the great Captain Harry. I thought he was all right today, 6 out of 10. Nothing amazing, nothing too bad. And you know what? I'm glad we're not talking about a Maguire mistake. I mean, it is unfortunate that he comes into the team and we lose a game. That's kind of funny, but he did nothing wrong. So 6 out of 10 for me, very average performance. Really nothing he could do to impact the game a little bit better. Like it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Can't agree with you more. Ellis Lindelof, obviously back from injury recently, not many minutes at all, well, none. And how was his performance? You're rating for him?
2, just a 2. He was awful. He moved. I thought Dallo was quite good, actually, in contrast to Reece. So we had that attacking threat on the right hand side of Anthony, and then Lindelof came on, and it just went flat. He was sluggish in possession. He was getting bullied by that Sorloth, and no 2. I really don't. I think it's obviously coming back from injury, coming back into a high, intense game where you're chasing the game. It's not going to be easy, but he made everything look difficult. He made simple passes. His first touch wasn't good. It's just rustiness, but no, he really wasn't good tonight too.
No, fair. One of my favourite players at the moment, who I was raving about at the weekend, and also I felt like he put in another good effort tonight. Tyrell Malacia, Reece.
Probably our best defender out of the entire defence for the whole 90. He didn't put a foot wrong for me. He's the only player I'm actually going to put maybe higher than De Gea, maybe one more. I'm going to give Malacia an 8 in a poor team performance. He was by far the most consistent player on the pitch. He was up and down, inverting his runs, overlapping as well, like Langa and Sancho, like Garnacho as well. Like he was overlapping all of them when they were interchanging positions. So yeah, if anything, I don't think he didn't put a foot wrong for me the whole night. Yeah, so I'd have to say an 8 personally.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Moving on to the midfield, just to let you all know, actually, Juan Mata has joined Galatasaray. It's just been announced. So good luck to him. Obviously, a great servant for the club, and wish him all the best. Moving on to our midfield, Casemiro and Marcus. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, this is going to be an unpopular one because a lot of people seem to think Casemiro had a terrible game today, but I thought he was all right. So I'm going to actually give him a 7 out of 10. Like I genuinely thought he was all right. You know, I might need to go back watch the game back because almost everyone seems to think he had a terrible game. I don't know. There might be something wrong with me today, but yeah, I thought he was all right.
I don't disagree with you. He certainly didn't have a terrible game. I just thought he looked very rusty, misplaced a number of passes, and I can only remember one thing that he did well for me. But
Yeah.
I'm not disputing what you've said, and obviously that is absolutely your call. Ellis, will come to Fred.
Oh, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
He's another 2, 1, -1. He was all over the place tonight. He was all over the place. I like Fred. He brings tenacity and energy, but he really wasn't up to speed tonight. Like his passing was abysmal. Well, we already knew that from seasons before, but he just never settled. He was in the 10 sort of, which I thought was a bit weird. Then he kind of got shifted and changed around at half time, and he just never seemed comfortable in the midfield. His first touch wasn't good, and it cost us in the transitional phase. He was giving away fouls. I think it was one of Fred's, not his best game tonight. So I'll probably go 2 because I've given Lindelof a 2, so I have to stick by that because they were both as bad as each other. So I'll go 2 again.
There are lots of incredibly low scores and a couple very high, which it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, absolutely fine. You would have thought that today, with Fred playing and starting against Casemiro, you might have seen a little bit of the Brazilian magic, but it didn't quite work out that way, did it? But unfortunate. So Reece, I know you were jumping for joy knowing who you were going to get. So talk to me, Ericsson.
Fred's just cool. That's about it. As for Ericsson, like the only reason he's not getting a perfect 10 is because of Ronaldo. Like, fully my blame is on Ronaldo that Ericsson is not getting a 10 because his positioning, his first touch was awful. But we'll get to Ronaldo soon. Ericsson, until he came off, disciplined in his position. His passing was superb. His vision was phenomenal. His movement was perfect. His work, even though Casemiro and Fred aren't like players he's typically used to playing beside, was spot on. Kept Fred in that, like, because Fred doesn't know how to play a number 10 role in his life. He actually guided Fred where to play in the 10 role. I thought Ericsson would have played 10, to be honest. But when they were drifting back and forth with each other, like, you could see clearly why Ericsson was signed. His leadership, his qualities, it's second to none. He is by far our best playmaker. Like, Fernandez is a brilliant 10. Like, he's going to get us goals now. But in terms of like just a pure playmaking presence, Christian Eriksen is by far our best. And we have lacked that for a very long time. With Eriksen, the team going forward, and when the team was more up to sync, it's going to be very hard to stop us when we're free flowing. His transitional play as well, from intercepting the ball and taking it forward, was superb. So because of Ronaldo being in positions worse than the Grand Canyon, I'm giving Eriksen a 9.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he was in one of our better performances tonight, and
I think he was our best by far. I don't think there was anyone else that topped him, really.
I think I'm surprised by how many minutes he has played this season, but I think he's become a very big player within our squad, and I think we can see that. And as soon as he come off tonight, we seem to lose quite a bit, if we had any, of course, to begin with. But very, very good. Not so great tonight, but still one of our better players. Moving on to the forward three then. Marcus, Anthony on that right-hand side today.
Yeah, underwhelming. Probably not to his own fault, but there were moments where I just thought he made the wrong decision. I mean, I think he did put in, not really sure how many crosses he put in. Let me just have a look. But it seems as if there wasn't really much he contributed, So no successful crosses, no long balls played, no key passes played apparently as well. So a very flat game from Anthony today. And I'm not surprised by those stats at all, because he just didn't do anything for me tonight. And the thing about Anthony is he's going to be one of those players, isn't he? He's going to be one of those players that's either a 10 out of 10 or he's just bang average. Like there's no in between with him, it seems, because he seems to be the type of winger who likes to be extravagant, who likes to be the guy who's aesthetically pleasing on the eye. He's got that Brazilian samba about him, you know what I mean? So he can't just keep it simple. He's got to do 50 million step overs before he tries to whack it in. And it just didn't work today. And but like I said, it wasn't only his fault. Like the fact that our right-hand side was flat is due to the fact that Delo wasn't great today. It's due to the fact that Casemiro and Fred in that midfield were also quite off today, as many people have pointed out. So there's a number of extenuating factors. So for me, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10.
No, okay, that's fair. And moving on to Ellis, Anthony Elanga.
I feel like I've watched a different game. Like, I genuinely do. Like, every single point that's been made, I'm sitting thinking, like, as I asked your opinion, I'm thinking, but really? Like, I thought Anthony was okay. I think his work rate was good. He came back and helped the low out. I thought he did everything that he needed to do. And Eriksen, I think a 9 might be a little bit too positive because we did lose the game. I think
we were shocked that he wasn't.
Yeah, but
doesn't matter. Well, you can still have a 9 or 10 performance in a poor team.
Fair enough. I do agree with that, but I think a 9 is a bit too generous. But Elanga, I thought he was good. He showed energy, but his end product wasn't there as we all know. He struggles with his end product, and I feel like that cost us a lot. I don't think he was awful. I don't think he was amazing. So I think it's just an average 5 or 6, which is what obviously the team we lost. So 5 or 6 average score.
I think that's fair. All right, finally then, before we wrap up, Cristiano Ronaldo, Reece.
First touch, appalling. His movement in and around the box was pathetic. His finishing was weak. His attitude at times wasn't worth it. There you go. That's it. 1.
Oh my word, Ellis, I know you want to come.
I
in
really
quick.
don't. I really don't
I
care.
don't
Like it's
agree with
like
that.
I'm
Worse than
expecting
Fred.
better.
Worse
No,
than Fred.
that's no. I would have given Fred. I would have given Fred a 1 as well. If you'd given me
Fair
Fred,
enough,
even though I like
fair
Fred, I would
enough,
have given him
fair
1.
enough.
Ronaldo, like his position, his experience, what we need in this team tonight was awful. Like his first, that's the worst I've ever seen from his first touch in my entire lifetime.
We've all
Like-
watched different games, haven't we? We've just all watched different games.
I thought
I
Ronaldo
think,
was okay.
I think, unfortunately for the viewers tonight, it's been one of those. But they must be coming away from this feeling more confused than when they came in tonight. But there you go.
Oh,
Listen,
I mean, if you want to be nice, I can put it up to a 3, but I can't go like I can't be any nicer. Like because like the guy is the best of all time, and when we really needed him, where
the
was
thing
he?
I'll say about Ronaldo, right, is I think you've been very harsh, okay? And as a number 9 in the
If this was any other player, though, with all due respect, if this was any other player, I'd still be the same, and you know that I'd still be the same.
Well, listen, from my perspective, I think it's a little bit harsh. And as a striker, as a number 9, you're only as good as the ball you receive, and he got absolutely nothing tonight. So, so get your point. Understand? I appreciate. Obviously, he wasn't at his best, but nobody was. But I think just a little bit for me. Right, listen, Ellis, you want to come in?
Fine,
quickly
I'll
and
be
then we'll
nice.
wrap
I'll
up?
give him a 3. I'll be nice.
No,
I'll give him a
I
3.
There we
think-
go.
I think you've just really echoed everything that I was going to say. Really, he didn't really get the service, and what do you expect when he's just stood there battling against 2 centre halves that are ready for a low block? He's not exactly going to score.
But even so, though, and this is the thing. We're saying he didn't get service and all that, but there were umpteen times in that game though where there was balls into the box, passes directly to him, and his first touch completely let him down, and it was just pure pain to watch.
Come
It was
on,
pain.
Reese. There wasn't that many balls. Come on, Reese.
It was six. It was like 6 balls into the box for him. It was at least 6 balls.
Ronaldo's selection was the right one tonight. Rashford wouldn't have done well tonight. It was we're playing against a low block team. Rashford's good on the counter attack. You're not going to be able to do that. It was the right call. He looked very good in the first half. He looked very dangerous with Eriksen on the pitch. We took away that creative mind, and we had Fernandes getting in his way. You had Lang. Everything was all over the place in the second half.
First half is where. First half, I agree. First half, he was great. It was the second half where you saw everything.
As you said, you rated Eriksen a 9. You took away his creative genius that was giving him the chance in the first half. So you can't expect him to magic something out of nothing. Is that? I think that's fair. Would everyone agree that's a fair?
That's why I gave him a 3.
I think
At a push. Anyway, listen. It's been a very, very strange day today. I don't think anyone's head's completely in it, and obviously the performance was very, very poor tonight. Hopefully we can pick ourselves up and next time make something of it and play far better than that, because that was something we can't watch every week, especially in the Europa League. This is one of our biggest opportunities to try and get a trophy this season, and I think it will be one of Erik ten Hag's biggest aims. So it's a must have. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, guys. As I say, it will be back to normal next time round. Finishing up early tonight for obvious reasons, but thanks very much for joining in. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you very soon.